Technique number 10 for our first round, Kenpo Karate for Christ, is piercing lance. So this is in the knife attacks for this level. This is the second one. Thrusting lance, we are on the inside of the arm as we step forward. Now we're going to be on the outside. This is a safer place to be here than in between his arms. Right? You're exposed where he can hit you with the other side, whereas here I'm further away from his weapons, coming around the outside of his arm. So this, as techniques go, this is a better response here if you can pull it off. This is also going to be kind of moving more of a pulling action, whereas with thrusting lance we're kind of moving into them and then setting our attack here. Well, there will be some of that in this too. This one is going to have a lot more of the jiu-jitsu. In fact, in a lot of ways, this resembles what you might see in the Aikido system. So, as the knife thrust comes in, again, it's a low center knife thrust, and we're going to move back this time. Instead of moving forward here, I'm going to receive that knife thrust with, again, I want the back of the hands here, bad, to get cut on this side, but this won't hurt as bad. This isn't as bad. So I want that exposed to the knife as I do this downward hooking parry idea that we've seen in our Kung Fu forms. Stepping back here, and I'm going to come straight to the grab this time. So we're not hand sword on top. Come right into grab and pinning his hand. And I'm going to continue to turn that direction, almost pulling him in the direction of his thrust, overextending him past his thrust. As I turn back, an elbow with the right between the shoulder blades here, or whatever you can get in his back. Strong elbow here. I'm going to continue to pull with the left hand though. Wheeling him around. Use your body to create an arm lock, an elbow lever here. Locking his arm straight against your own body as you spin him around. And if you kept turning, he would keep coming around you. Right? You've got him in essentially a whizzer spin, only you don't have your arm wrapped around him. You're just using your side here to create that lever there, that fulcrum that's right on his elbow. It's going to spin him around you. And we're not going to spin him that far either. We want to move back on him quick. So I'm going to hook, come back catching his hand, continue to pulling his arm here, hyperextending it a little bit here on my side here as I turn and continue to pull him around as I elbow. I'm going to come back to that wrist, step back with the left foot. Now you've got him going one way, we're going to throw him the other way. He's running one direction. As I turn back into him, putting him in an outward wrist lock. Right? And the motion on this, the harder you swing him this way, and the harder you pull back, the more damage you're going to do on that. The harder you're going to throw him down. And when you're practicing it, be sure the person you're working with knows how to move with this. Not just on this fall, too. Once we get them on the ground, we're going to manipulate them a little bit and roll them around some. So they're going to need to know how to go with that so they don't get caught and don't get their elbow or their wrist torn up in the process. Pick a good partner for this one, or at least coach them in the process so that they can be a good uke for you. Right? You don't want to hurt your partner, then you got no one to play with. So knife thrust comes in, step back, I'm catching his hand. I'm going to continue to turn, pulling his arm, bringing him around with that elbow. You're going to catch him with that elbow as he comes around, come back to that hand, step back with the left foot towards 12, and as I turn towards 12, I'm doing a big outward wrist lock, throwing him to the ground. He still has the knife at this point. I'm going to step into his armpit with the right foot this time, step back, and just like in thrusting lance, we're going to stretch his arm across your shin. But this time he's face up. In thrusting lance, he was face down because we used an inward wrist lock that takes you to the front. Now we're using an outward wrist lock that takes you to the back, right? Which is a good throw, good way to take somebody's balance. But when they hit the ground, they'll still land face up. That gives them more options to struggle than face down does. Face down is more of like checkmate than face up. So we're going to throw him down, he's face up. We're stretching, we step into his armpit and stretch his right arm across your right knee, right? And then from that position, I'm going to reach in again and do the strip here, again using kind of the side of my hand. You won't be able to hold it very tightly. I'm pulling the knife free, not going against the blade there, but going against the flat of it to strip it loose. There, boom. So that the knife is out and come back to the hand. Now, so that he can't struggle, we're going to roll him over. And to roll him over, what I'm going to have to do is come around, bringing his arm around my leg. I pulled it to the inside, stretching his arm from here all the way around the front, I'm going to bring his arm back loose. But as I do, I'm going to put my other leg in its place. And I'm going to, as I start to relieve the pressure by taking his arm off one leg, insert the other leg and stretch it across there. Now that's creating an arm bar, and it will lift him up a little bit. And as I lift him up with that arm bar, I continue to turn, swinging this right leg all the way around as far as I need to. And that's going to face plant him down. And now he's face down, and you're pulling his right arm across your left shin, just like we did with thrusting lance. Right? So it ends with the same pin that way. But you've already disarmed him. Now, when you disarm him, you don't want to roll him back over where he can grab hold of the knife again. So I forgot to say it, but when you do the disarm, either continue to hold the knife, put the knife on you, whatever, or if you do drop it, you kick that sucker away with your free leg. Kick it away so you can't get to it. As you step in, you're going to roll him over onto his front here, and then pin him and hold him in place, right, as you hold that right arm across. This is harder to practice in space without an actual partner. It makes less sense. So you will need to practice this with an actual body, or the movements in the air. I can see them as somebody who knows the technique. And other people who are proficient in what you're doing will see and be like, okay, I recognize that's piercing lance, but it won't make a whole lot of sense to somebody else without seeing an actual body attached to this takedown. So again, they're thrusting with the knife. I'm hooking, stepping back, grabbing, and overextending them further than they meant to go with that thrust. As you elbow back, come back to their hand, stepping around with the left foot to face 12 o'clock as you throw them down on their back, nice and hard. I step in with my right, stepping into almost their armpit to stretch their elbow across your right shin. And then we're going to disarm. Kick it away or put it on you somewhere. Put it in your pocket, whatever, so they can't get a hold of that knife. Then I'm going to relieve that stress that's on his elbow, because he may start to relieve that stress by circling around your leg. Right? If you get a partner you're working with and they don't recognize the pressure of the elbow can easily be snapped at that point, then the goofy ones will start trying to wiggle out of it. So you get a goofy one trying to wiggle out of it. All right, fine. You're going to relieving the pressure with one leg and immediately replacing it with the other. Stretch it across your left shin, which will start to bend them up, lift them up. Continue to circle, bringing them right back down on their front. Right? Keeping that pressure on the elbow the whole time. Being nice to your training partner. You don't want to hurt them, so that you have them to continue to train with you. You're going to hold them there as long as you need to. Right? So that is piercing lance. That's number 10. One more time. Hook, overextend, elbow, outward wrist lock. Set the pin, disarm, kick it away if you need to. Then we turn them over onto their stomach and hold them still. And that is technique number 10 in the first Brown Kenpo Karate for Christ curriculum.